Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the Windscreen YouTube channel. We're so glad you took some time out of your day to spend it with us. We greatly appreciate it. As you probably know by now, Windscreen is by far the best place to buy and sell good used cars. And if you don't know, check out all these other vids and get up to speed. And we enjoy offering that marketplace for everyone to use, no matter what car they have for sale. We set out to offer a marketplace that solves most of the ills and problems and issues of the other marketplaces out there. And based on all of the feedback we've been receiving, we're doing a bang-up job at it. But no time to rest now. Every day, we're working to make Windscreen just that much better. So keep that feedback coming. Part of the reason why we started Windscreen a few years ago, in addition to the marketplace, was just to offer tips and tricks and advice on used car buying and selling, especially in the private market. Tips to avoid the scams, the spam, and just ease some of the confusion and frustration and uneasiness that some people have when doing a peer-to-peer private used car transaction. So most of our focus so far has been on the seller side and how to list your car quickly and get it sold for top dollar. But today we're going to shift gears just a little bit and talk about some issues on the buyer side. So stay tuned. So like I said, we're going to focus on the buying side of the used car deal today. Most people who don't have a lot of money need to buy a good used car after they sell their last one. However, in today's economy, we know used car prices have done some dumb things over the past few years with no real sign of coming back down. That $1,000 Camry, well, that's $3,000 or $4,000 today for the same car. Now, why that is and why that continues to be a thing, well, that's another topic entirely, and maybe we'll get into it one day. But since that is the reality these days, many people are looking at a variety of ways of getting good, dependable transportation without breaking the bank. So they've been asking us, what can we do? Now, there are a few options people have been looking at. You maybe have to get a car with some higher mileage. Maybe they're downsizing from 2 cars to 1 to save on the maintenance and insurance and tire costs and repair costs and things like that. Looking at maybe getting an economy car instead of that good pickup truck they've wanted. Obviously, a good economy car is cheaper overall, cheaper tires, better gas mileage, things like that. And another way many more are looking at these days is looking at cars with either salvage or rebuilt titles, otherwise known as branded titles, to potentially save some money. And they've been reaching out to us and asking, what do we look out for when we're looking at a car with a salvaged or branded title or a rebuilt title? Is it an instant write-off, or should we still look at it? And that brings us to the reason why I'm making this video today. So let's talk about that more a bit in depth. Now, for car people who buy and sell on the reg or buy and sell to flip to make a little extra cash, knowing about these used cars with branded titles, salvage and rebuilt titles, is not a new thing. Entire auction industries depend on these types of cars. It usually works like this. So a car is in a wreck to some degree. Then the insurance company deems that the car isn't worth fixing, so they pay out the owner, and then the insurance company takes possession of the car. So now the insurance company has a car, but they don't want a car. They want their money back. So they'll send them off to a third-party auction house, usually in their area, in their region, to auction it off to the highest bidder, and now a new owner has a car with a salvage title. So then that person or shop or whatever it is fixes that car, gets it inspected, and they're issued a rebuilt title. A car can also get a salvage title if the owner has an insurance policy where the insurance policy will pay to have that car fixed and then get it inspected and all that stuff. But sometimes the insurance company deems that the car isn't worth fixing. It's going to cost more to fix it than the car's worth, or it's over some threshold of a percentage. So the owner of the car will take that payout, but now that car is deemed salvage insurance company lets the DMV know that the car was in a wreck. The insurance company has deemed it salvaged, and they've paid out to the owner. Now, the owner may take that money and fix that car to whatever they're liking. May just fix a fender, may just fix a windshield, whatever, or they may fix it completely. But it still has a rebuilt title. And we have to say this, the rules and regulations vary per state, sometimes even per county in each state. Sometimes, especially if you're talking about emissions and emission systems on cars. So like you've heard before, your mileage may vary, which means check your local regulations. But on a high level, car was in a wreck. It got fixed somehow by someone, and it was granted a rebuilt title. Now, sometimes an inspection is required by DMV or some authority in your area, and sometimes it's not. So again, always check your local regulations. And if you have any questions, just call your DMV and they'll let you know. So up until about 5 years ago or so, salvaged and rebuilt title cars got a bad name. And that happened for a variety of reasons. A salvaged or rebuilt title usually meant that the car was beat up pretty bad. It was flipped, it was flooded real bad. There was damage to the crash structure, the A and the B, or A or B pillars. Or it had major rust. This was an issue in the Northeast. Had major rust, and it was just deemed unfixable and unsafe. Those cars took many days and many dollars to fix. Quite often you would see shady repairs hit the streets from a shady shop or someone that had maybe even paid off a DMV inspector to get that car back on the road for a quick flip and a quick profit. Those shady fixes, sometimes they caused headaches for that next owner, sometimes pretty quickly. Sometimes they weren't fixed properly. Metal repairs and seam repairs weren't properly coated, so they started to rust. Car was flooded and started to have electrical gremlins, or the car was, once it got up on a lift, you could see that parts had been replaced that had rust on them or were already worn out themselves. So it just caused lots of headaches, and in some cases were even uninsurable. One big thing that was an issue for these rebuilt cars were flood damage, especially after major hurricanes along the coastal regions. These cars were shipped off to the interior of the country, to unsuspecting shops, unsuspecting future buyers. And they're so far away from the coast, and it was 6 months ago, the hurricane was 6 months ago, that they're not really thinking about super flood damage, especially from salt water. And this could cause and did cause major issues down the road, sometimes pretty quickly. The cars became unrepairable in a timely manner or for proper costs. And they were just written off, and sellers lost on it when they were trying to sell these cars, and buyers lost also when they bought a car that was in a flood and no one told them. Also, sometimes these shady shops wouldn't reinstall airbags. And like we said before, they wouldn't properly paint or coat metal repairs, or they would use wheel bearings or control arms or suspension components that already had 100,000 miles on them out of a junkyard. So that car you're buying was already aged well past what you thought it was. So if you've been in the market for a good used car, or you've been looking around for a good used car and you've asked for advice, some of you probably heard, just go ahead and don't even look at salvaged or rebuilt titles. And that's some legacy thoughts and some legacy thinking. We can't fault anybody for that. But it's the way it was. And most used car buyers that just wanted a good, dependable transportation immediately wrote off, no pun intended, salvaged and rebuilt titles. And conveniently enough, if you do want to write off salvaged and rebuilt titles, Windscreen lets you immediately check the boxes, and you'll only see clean titles when you're searching for that good used car. But you probably have noticed that used car prices and new car prices have gone up pretty aggressively over the years. I'm not a fan of that. And also not a fan of, I've noticed that, this may be true for you too, that my income hasn't gone up as quickly as used car prices. So we got to do something about it. So this brings me back to the original topic of this video, and that is buying a used car with a salvage or rebuild title. You will reiterate to check your local regulations and check with your insurance company to see if there's any concerns with you buying a rebuild title vehicle and getting it insured or getting it registered in your area. Now, this isn't always the case, and don't let this scare you away, but some insurance companies won't even insure a salvage or rebuilt title vehicle. And even if they do, they won't offer full coverage on it. So if you buy a rebuilt title vehicle, and they still can be pretty expensive, and you don't have full coverage on it, if something happens to it, like a tree falling on it or you wrecking it and it's your fault, then you will be on the hook for all those repairs. That isn't that big of an issue these days because of there being more rebuilt title cars on the road, and also cars are just getting more expensive anyway. So you could probably find insurance for your vehicle. It may not be with the insurance company that you have currently, but there are insurance companies, nationwide insurance companies, that will insure rebuilt title vehicles. So again, just check and make sure before you cause yourself a headache. Now, back to the topic at hand. So yeah, a lot of stuff has happened over the past 5 years, but let's focus on cars. Car prices have gotten out of hand, and the complexity of cars has gotten way out of hand too, in my opinion, which has caused part prices to go way up, and sometimes parts aren't even available. So constant design changes and updates, constantly introducing new materials, the cost of raw materials, and introducing so much complexity into new cars these days has driven up the costs, made parts hard to find, and is pushing cars to become more obsolete quicker. So how does that relate to salvage and rebuilt titles? Well, now if a car gets in a minor wreck, busted headlight, maybe a couple busted headlights, crunched fender, crunched hood, some broken glass, with the cost of parts these days, the cost of body shop labor, insurance companies are becoming more and more inclined to just write off cars that are still safe, still have many of miles left in them, but just that cost, that percentage, that threshold is driving the insurance companies to just salvage them out and not even worry about it. Like, for example, some headlight assemblies now that are fancy LED, auto adjusting, fancy on-off, flashback, whatever they've introduced into cars these days, those headlights can cost upwards of $1,000 a piece when you're buying OEM. And a lot of times the insurance companies want to deal with OEM parts or very, very close to OEM parts to protect themselves on the back end so the part lasts a long time. But when you bust a couple of headlights out and you add in some paint work and stuff like that, even a 5-6-year-old car with 50,000 miles can be totaled out pretty quickly. That is a shame, very wasteful in my opinion, but that's the fact of life now. But that car could be driven for 5-6 more years, albeit with maybe a different color fender and some aftermarket headlights, but it's still on the road, and you may get a good deal on it. It used to be that cars with rebuilt and salvage titles had been beaten up pretty bad or flooded all the way or whatever. But like I said, that threshold for totaling a car these days by the insurance companies has gotten lower and lower and lower. So there are some good deals to be had out there. This has led to many more cars hitting those salvage auctions, getting purchased by shops looking to make a quick profit, more profit. Everyone's looking to make more money these days. And then they're hitting the roads with rebuilt titles. And they're coming from all over the country these days. Some states used to kind of clamp down on this a little more, but now they're just getting back out there, back on the road. So a lot of people have been seeing that. They're seeing lots of cars listed on all the other marketplaces with salvage or rebuilt titles and have been curious about them and wanting to know more. And they've been reaching out to us too, asking what the deal is. So here we are making this video, and we hope to clear up some misconceptions. Lots of people are tempted by the lower prices, and the car does look good, especially on the ad, even before they go look at it. So, gotta be careful still, though. Well, it's a used car deal anyway, so you always need to keep your guard up just ever so slightly. But we'll go through it. Now, salvage and rebuilt title vehicles aren't for everyone, but that's always been the case. But in some cases, they are thousands of dollars cheaper, and I don't know of anyone that would turn down a few $1,000s. So let's investigate why they are. Well, for one thing, most banks won't lend the full amount on a rebuilt title vehicle, even if it's 2 or 3 years old and less than 100,000 miles. So you're probably going to need to be a cash buyer. So that does limit the pool of potential buyers. So the seller does have to lower the price just a little bit to compensate for that. And also, the resale value won't be the best. You obviously have to showcase it as a used car with a rebuilt title when you go to sell. But if you do plan to drive it for 10, 15 years or whatever until the wheels fall off or it's completely totaled out, then that really isn't that big of a deal for you. So maybe a salvage rebuilt title vehicle would fit your needs. And yes, it is a bit more of a hassle to go jump through the hoops to buy a rebuilt title, get it checked out. But nothing is free. Nothing. However, like we did say before, there are more and more cars with salvage or rebuilt titles hitting the streets that still have plenty of life left in them and are safe and reliable. So if you are looking for your kid's first car, a beater commuter car, or just a good used car that you're going to drive until it won't go any further, salvage or rebuilt title may be for you. So don't write it off just yet. But clean title, salvage title, rebuilt title, it doesn't matter. This is the most important thing. Follow these 5 steps as a bare minimum when checking out a good used car. So number 1 here, always get the VIN and do some online searches. If it's been through the salvage auction, you'll see it. It'll pull up that it was sold this many times. You may even see where it was sold at this third-party auction, and you should see some pictures of the previous damage. So that's a good start there. And if the seller won't provide the VIN over the phone or via messenger or email or whatever, immediately walk away. And number 2, you got to go see it in person. We don't recommend buying a car from across the country. Plenty of people do it, but for most used car buyers, you need to go see it in person. See the paperwork, have the paperwork in your hands, check the VIN. Do the VINs match in the locations on the door and at the base of the windshield? And do the repairs match what you think it should be doing? If it had a fender bender and is the fender painted, is it maybe a different color? Do all the repairs match what you see on those damaged photos? Number 3, you got to do a thorough walk around. When you get there, don't just look on the driver's side, walk all around the vehicle, check the tires out, check the roof, check for any dents, hail damage, any major dings, look at the wheel wells for rust. Just do a thorough walk around before you immediately jump in and go for that test drive. Number 4, you got to drive it. Don't take the seller's word for anything. Get it up to speed. Make sure all of the features and interior buttons work. Check the power windows, check the power locks, check the AC. A lot of people forget to check the AC when it's cold outside or winter. But just make sure it blows cool, blows cold. It doesn't make any weird noises, and the fan motor works there. Get it up to speed. Make sure it doesn't vibrate. Pull to the left, pull to the right, and then make sure when you do some aggressive stops, to make sure it stops straight. It doesn't make any weird noises. And number 5 here, we don't always recommend a pre-purchase inspection on a good used car. If it's got a clean title and you know what you're looking at and all that, maybe you don't need to get a pre-purchase inspection. But a lot of damage on rebuilt titles and cars that have been wrecked in general can be underneath. Bent suspension, bent frame, torn out this, rusted that. So it's always a good idea to get a pre-purchase inspection by an unbiased third party, and especially someone that can get up on a lift. You want to see what's going on underneath that car too. Maybe there's something that's missing, or they used a different spring or shock that they shouldn't have used, or something like that when repairing that vehicle to get it back on the road as quick as possible. So even if you have to pay $100, $150 to a shop for a vehicle that has a rebuilt title, hopefully you're getting that car for a few thousand less, maybe $5,000 less in a clean title one. So you'll still come out on top. So if you're cool with having a rebuilt title vehicle that may take a little more legwork up front to make sure it is what it's supposed to be, then a rebuilt title car may be for you. You'll save some money at least. But like always, do your due diligence. We just want to reiterate that. Make sure it's not put back together with chewing gum and string. Make sure it's going to be a reliable, safe car for you to last you many years in the future, especially if you're buying it for someone else. Make sure that it's going to meet your needs and be safe and not cause a headache in the future. And like we've always said, if you get a shady feeling, a weird feeling from the seller, they won't provide information that you're asking up front, walk away. And there's plenty of used cars out there, millions of used cars listed every day for sale. So you'll find something that you need. So we hope some of this information was helpful to you and remove some of the rebuilt title stigma. And like always, we're here every day to answer your questions, maybe about a salvage rebuilt title, or maybe about something completely different when you're out there looking at a good used car, maybe when you're getting ready to list your car for sale. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can leave a comment below if it's something high level or general, but if you have something super specific, send us an email, info@windscreen.com. And we're at Instagram as well at Windscreen. So please check us out. And finally, like always, if you could give us a like and subscribe, that helps get the word out about Windscreen, so we can continue to push videos out like this, so we can all make better used car buying and selling decisions. So thanks for watching. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Have a great rest of the week.